Head now to Rolling Fork, Mississippi, where we find Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez on the ground there. And Nicole, these images are unbelievable of this devastating damage.
They really are, Chris. And anyone who's seen Rolling Fork this morning would tell you it's probably not an exaggeration to say that almost the entire town has been wiped out. I mean, there are dozens of buildings and homes and churches that are just leveled, debris scattered for miles. I mean, it's hard to make out what is one building, what's another, where one begins and ends. Meanwhile, there are literal semi-trucks piled on top of each other, on top of all of that debris that was once people's homes. So this is incredibly difficult for people to process right now, but they're having to do that. This is first light since this storm. They're just now getting their eyes on what was their community, what still is, of course, and their jaws are nearly on the floor here. I mean, we spent very early morning hours in Rolling Fork trying to really use flashlights to try to see through the darkness that was there when we first showed up to try to make sense of this thing. And you can tell, I mean, the evidence is there that this was an extremely powerful storm. Just how intense, of course, we're not going to really find that out until the National Weather Service gets out there to give us their estimates. But right now, Governor Tate Reeves, we're told, is on his way to Rolling Fork to be with those first hit. He's already said, quote, "This is a tragedy," adding the loss will be felt in these towns forever. Earlier this morning, we heard confirmed reports of 7 people in Rolling Fork alone that were killed. 23 Mississippians in all since this storm tracked more than 100 miles through the Magnolia State. But we are now learning that death toll for Rolling Fork alone may already be rising, and rising quickly, Chris.
Nicole, let me ask you, what is mobility like there and getting around? I've covered some of these, and I know that, even just getting to where they may be trying to still conduct rescue missions can be difficult.
Very difficult. You're talking about roads that in some cases are impassable. There are power lines strewn all over the place, debris that still needs to be moved, trees that need to be cut down. I mean, it is very difficult right now, not to mention power outages are adding to the problem, and communication is near to impossible, to the point where we're actually standing in Hollandale, about 20 miles north of Rolling Fork, because there is just no service to get out, a live signal or even a phone call. So part of the issue here that is probably going to play out as well is among the dead. We know there are several missing, dozens injured. Getting word to their families that they are safe or whether they need help has definitely been a challenge all day today. We hope that can be restored sooner rather than later, because I'm sure that may help really try to figure out whether those are people who are still missing or whether they're accounted for at this point.
Nicole, Aisha here in Washington. Just before we let you go, I just have a quick question, because I'm seeing some tweets on Twitter from folks I believe are on the ground asking where FEMA is. I imagine there's going to be a huge need for shelter tonight, someplace to go. Maybe there's shelter in town. Before we get on the phone with the FEMA director, are you seeing any FEMA personnel down there right now? Are you seeing anybody from that agency?
We drove out of Rolling Fork, I want to say 45 minutes ago, and I had not seen FEMA there myself. However, as we were driving out in order to bring you this live shot, I was told that Governor Tate Reeves was on his way there. They were expecting his helicopter to land shortly to, again, check on things, check on the folks who live in that community. So that could have changed at this point. He could be getting there soon. FEMA could also be not too far behind.
Yeah, hopefully they're dispatched, and we'll get on the phone with the director in just a few. Thank you, Nicole, for your live coverage of this just horrific event.
Yeah, great coverage from Nicole there from Fox Weather, and the coverage continues on the Fox Weather app.